Okay, here we have some racing for today, Saturday, the 1st of June, the first day of winter. We'll have a look at the day summary. I haven't got all the meetings on this computer. So, having looked at the day summary elsewhere, basically it's a combination of wet tracks, rail out, and so on. And in fact, the race that was of interest that I was going to look at today was Morphettville Park's race 4, 2400 metre race, where the track originally, when looking at it, was in fact a good 4, but now it's a soft 5. So the same thing, it's hard to say with deteriorating conditions whether the race is going to be of any value or not, but most of the other race meetings today have similar conditions except for Belmont, where there seems to be a number of short price favourites which on paper look very strong. So looking at this race, the favourite Lost Ark, although it does have some fairly strong qualifications, it does look like the 2400 is not really going to suit it. Now that's the premise that we're working on here, even though it's quite well weighted and so on. So let's go through the form from the top. First off, we'll have a look at the graph, which we haven't looked at the last few videos. So if you have a look at the graph, you'll end up finding sometimes you have anomalous ratings. Okay, now again, the ratings are calculated using a fairly simple process. And so we have a rating here for this horse running 4th of 8 in a hurdle. Well, obviously that rating is irrelevant. Similarly here, we've got a very high rating there. It's running in this birthday quality, so that might be a rating of value, but on the other hand, if we look at the subsequent runs, it really hasn't run up to those ratings. So again, probably a value more along the top of that would be relevant. Here, the ratings are sort of okay. It looks to be on the improve. This one the same. The ratings are all more or less the same. This one's pretty weak. This one, clearly Lost Ark, it's shown a definite improvement in terms of its ratings, and now it's probably hit its peak. Did have a high rating back here, perhaps indicating it was quality horse run in the Adelaide Guineas. Shakopee, nothing to talk about there. This Karoon, again, it's got a high rating from a hurdle, probably using the wrong minimum weight perhaps, and then it's got two other high ratings here from steeplechasers, again not really relevant in this race. So in terms of doing the ratings, some of them are abnormal, and again, if you're going to do a market, you really need to check to make sure the figures are, well, they're accurate if you're going to bet money on it. So let's leave that for now. From the top, Olympic Academy, again it's this one that's got a few hurdle jumps in there, so over the distance, beaten a long way last time, you'd think it was a preferred job. Royal Rumble, racing not too bad, finished close up last time over a shorter distance, doesn't have any form over the distance, so this is a problem with this race. A lot of horses haven't run over the trip. You have to be some chance, and it's right in the market. As you right, it's been finishing thereabouts in races over this distance. This is a much weaker race than what it's been running in lately. Not that much weaker, but weaker, and it's very well weighted, probably due mainly to the claim. Has to be some chance. Flow meter, racing well, finished close up last time. Again, doesn't have any runs over the distance, and certainly has a fairly ordinary record at the track. 107 starts, needless to say, getting on a little bit in age. So if this horse was a bit younger, you'd have to say it would have been a strong chance. Must be some chance in the race. The Willie Bees have been running in jumps races, so unless the track sort of goes a whole lot wetter, he seems pretty unlikely. Lost Ark is the favourite, so that's run third last start in a similar race over a shorter distance. Had barrier 8 that day. Today it's got barrier 6. It's got the same weight. Soft track, it's a soft 5, so it has to be some chance. The Shakopee's on the 3-day quick backup. Stayers, it doesn't matter about a quick backup. Sprinters, generally you want to avoid them if they're backing up. over a very short time, but for stayers, backing up quickly is quite often an advantage. Still, he'd have to be some chance, but he seems unlikely to win it. I think he's there for a place. Karoon, same thing, he's been running in steeplechases as that other earlier one. It seems unlikely he's going to do anything in this. And that's it for the form. So if we go and have a look at what we've got here, we basically have 4 horses that have got some chance, which includes the favourite. Now again, if you're going to lay a horse, ideally you want to have it as not one of the chances. Ideally you just don't like it, but again, you can't always find those races. So you can simply wait and bet more on races where you have absolutely everything going for you, and that would be a very good method. However, here we're doing this as an exercise, and so Lost Ark, let's see, on the replays, a number of races have got more than one runner from the previous race. So this Oakbank race, the Oakbank Cup, there was 4 runners originally. This race has been reduced by scratchings quite a lot. So the favourite in the original race looked far less likely than it does now. So in this race, Olympic Academy led up and finished second, so not a bad run. Meets Royal Rumble 3 odd kilos better, given the margin and the weight changes as he rides out the back. So 2 of the horses that we thought were a chance, Royal Rumble and As You Ride, we're actually selecting those, whereas in fact Olympic Academy beat both of them and we prefer, so go figure. Going further down, that's last year, it's not worth worrying about. This race here, Olympic Academy, As You Ride, well As You Ride beat Olympic Academy. Clearly, again, hard to make anything out of that. This is the race of interest here. Royal Rumble, Flow Meter and Lost Ark all ran against each other last time. And on weights and measures, Lost Ark has the wood on the other 2. So it's got about a kilo, 1.8, 1.9 kilos clear of these other 2 horses. So based on this race, you would think Lost Ark would win. The difference here is that was 1950, whereas today it's 2400. And if you look at the race, we're not going to look at that now, but you could view it via here, or you could go to racing.com and have a look at it. Lost Ark really was losing ground over the last part. Did have to work a little bit early to get over into the 1-1, but then over the latter stages was really pretty disappointing. So stepping up in distance, it's hard to see this horse winning. These other 2, Flow Meter and Royal Rumble, they both worked home. But again, whether they're going to get out the back again and not work home or not be close enough, it's hard to say. So from that viewpoint, Lost Ark again's got a wide-ish barrier today. It was a lot wider before the scratchings. It looks a reasonably good chance of getting beaten. You would be a brave man or woman to be laying it for the place, I think. So from this viewpoint of what we've been doing this week has been doing these covered bets, and so I would be looking to, if I was going to bet in this race, again if the track deteriorates much further, well, it's hard to say what's going to happen, but as the race stands now, overcast weather is always not a good sign, and 90 minutes to the race, I would be looking to have a small lay wager on Lost Ark and then support the others, Royal Rumble, As You Ride and Flow Meter, to try to beat it. But again, the size of the field is definitely a concern. Basically nothing in this race is particularly good, and so when that's the case, it's a good opportunity to lay the favourite. Okay, so that's about it for this video. We'll check in later to find out what happened.